everyone, Meteorologist Carly Smith here. We are just recapping everything that happened post Alberto. How's everyone doing? Let me know in the comments how you're doing, if you saw any impacts, if you didn't. Whatever it was, I hope you're doing all right. I hope everyone is safe, and I hope you're ready for the next one. Actually, it doesn't look like the next one's going to be that bad, but this is a good reminder of just how to prepare for tropical season, right? We had a tropical storm, so we saw some of the, in the grand scheme of things, minimal impacts that can come with these tropical systems. And so now you kind of get an idea of how to prepare for the next one. So the blessing from this storm is the rainfall. For some, I know the farmers, the rain timeline didn't really quite line up perfectly for what you would hope. But yeah, honestly, Velda, I do not know how to do that. So the only thing I can tell you to do is turn your volume up, and hopefully it will get better. But I'll try to talk to the director who, hey, Chris. Anyway, so yes, I will try to talk to somebody about getting the mic at a higher volume, but that is out of my control at this point. I apologize for that inconvenience, but it's actually pretty loud on my phone when I turn it up. So this is how loud it is, if you can hear it. So anyway, tropical update. We are going to get right into that now as we speak. So we've got these two possible areas of development. Of course, the one in the Atlantic, not going to be an issue for us, but the one that is the one in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. This one is going to try to copy Alberto, basically. And that has to do with the Central American gyre. What it does is it kind of creates these small little spin-ups, and the Gulf of Mexico has been the target of those right now. So the difference between this low, this is what Alberto looked like, and this is what the high and the low looked like. So you've got the high over the eastern United States. That brought up wind all the way from the Caribbean across the Gulf of Mexico and into Texas. Additionally, it brought up moisture that same route, and it brought up the swell that same route. So as the waves have time to travel across the Gulf, they have more time to get larger and therefore increase the storm surge that we saw. So overall, Alberto brought 6 to 9 inches of rain, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, 1 to 3 foot of storm surge, and plus, actually, we got over 3 foot of storm surge, and 10-foot waves, or actually higher. This highest swell I saw, I think, was 17 feet out at the buoy offshore. So pretty wild conditions. Here's how the setup is happening for the next one, right? So this is what we are looking at for round 2. There is going to be a broad low over the southwestern Gulf over the weekend. This is going to try to develop over the weekend. If it has a chance of developing, it will probably do it before Sunday. It looks like it will be on land by Monday. So 1 inch of rain or less. I'm expecting less than that here in the coastal bend. 20 to 25 mile per hour wind gusts. Minor coastal flooding is going to be possible, but nothing too crazy. In fact, part of the reason for a minor coastal flooding heading into the weekend is going to be for the full moon. So we are still seeing some of the effects of Alberto as our surge is starting to slowly push back out. So it's not quite as high as it was yesterday, but those conditions, we are still seeing higher than normal tides essentially. So 3 to 5 foot waves are going to continue in the Gulf through the weekend. So this is what we are checking out right now, is that high. This is what is going to happen. So this is where that development is going to be possible from that disturbance sometime Saturday into Sunday. Then the high sets up over Texas, and what this high is going to do is it's basically boosting the confidence that this is going to follow that exact same pattern. This low will just turn toward Mexico because the high develops over Texas. Now, high pressure is sinking air that inhibits or prevents storms from developing. So you don't get rain at the center of the high pressure, but we will be on the edge of the high pressure. So we could still see a little bit of moisture coming up right there from the Yucatan across the Gulf of Mexico and then into South Texas. So we could still see some rain, but overall it looks fairly scattered. Don't go canceling any of your weekend plans. Keep them, but be prepared. There could be some rain that impacts your day-to-day activities. Temperatures are heating up, so as this high sets up, again, we still have a chance for a little bit of rain on Sunday and then into Monday, but then the high pressure strengthens over the western United States, actually tries to bring a cold front. Look at that trough over the eastern United States. They're going to get a cool down from that heat wave they saw last week rather. We are going to still see the heat, though. We'll have slightly drier air, so our heat index values won't be out of control, but I think they will be back up around 110 because at the surface, we are still seeing southeast onshore winds, even though in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, we do get northerly flow. So what happens is this high pressure isn't going to allow us to really see any impacts from any cold front that tries to move through by the end of next week. And we're still just looking hot. So here's a rainfall coverage forecast with some tropical moisture in play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. We've got a widely scattered chance of rain, not seeing any widespread rain like we saw with Alberto. Wind, not seeing any rising or peaking wind gust either. We're talking maybe some 25 tops, 30-mile-per-hour winds today. Then overall, it does not looking very gusty. Saturday, Sunday could see some 25-mile-per-hour gusts. And then the winds weaken a bit into next week, but we still keep them out of the southeast. Our wave action stays 3 to 5 feet, period 7 to 9 seconds through the weekend. Then they fall into next week as that high pressure builds. So we still have some waves over the coast, and additionally, as far as today goes, we still have that coastal flood warning in effect until 7 p.m. Our tides are still about 1 to 2 feet now above normal, but they have been falling since yesterday. High surf, really strong rip currents, still an issue heading into the weekend. Shoreline erosion has happened, and we're going to get some improvement for those homes and businesses impacted by the flooding today. So the only issue is, especially for our beaches, our Gulf Coast facing beaches, there still is going to be a slightly higher tide even through the weekend as the water levels fall. The tide is still going to push up at high tide because of the full moon. There's a full moon tonight, so take a look up. We'll have some breaks in the clouds that will allow us to look at it. In fact, we'll have mostly clear skies as the sun is setting and the moon is rising. So that moonrise is going to be at 8:39. It's technically full just before that, but we're going to get a great view of it. Moon set early in the morning will be at 6:51. Tide time, so high tide is in the morning at our beach. So should start to see improvements by lunchtime and into the evening, but anyone headed out in the morning to try to fish or something, use caution. Additionally, the surge brought up a lot of sea junk and uncovered things under the beach and moved things around. So be extra cautious if you are trying to head out to a coastal location over the weekend. There are still some impacts setting up. So let's see. I'm going to check out some of your questions. Looks like a perfect storm. Yeah, we don't. Anyway, I was just checking your questions and your comments. I hope everyone is doing all right after all of the rain and stuff that we saw. So, of course, areas most impacted were areas that saw this storm surge. So the peak surge was 3.43 feet at the USS Lexington, Ingleside 3.31 feet, Port Aransas 3.27 feet, Rockport 3.22 feet, Aransas Pass 3.15 feet, and Packery Channel 3.03 feet. And this is above the normal tide. So at high tide, we were peaking around 4 feet for that water level in some spots, which is just crazy for the level of this storm, right? So the tide essentially, the surge essentially was enhanced by that fetch across the Gulf of Mexico, and we're not getting this time around. So much smaller impact. In fact, I don't see a big kind of surge or anything like that coming up from this system that we are going to see try to develop in the Gulf of Mexico this weekend. So this is the latest view at North Beach. I have it looking toward the aquarium. The parking lot is really cleared out. I should turn it back toward the beach, but something on the right side of the screen, you see I think it's a Blue Angel plane, but you see the plane at the entrance of the Lexington and the entrance of the Lexington. You couldn't even get to the entrance yesterday. Now you can, so that's some good news. It looks like some sand has been pushed up there as well, because I don't think you have to walk on sand to get to the Lexington. The peak surge there was 3.43 feet. Our current level right now, it is approaching high tide at North Beach, is at 3.09 feet, so still some high water out there. High tide is at 2:53. Highest rainfall totals across the area, Rockport coming in at the top. In fact, I think I just saw a latest report from the National Weather Service, that had someone measuring 10 inches at Rockport. Fulton 8.30, Woodsboro 7.46, and Sinton 7 inches. Fremont 6 inches. Baffin Bay 54 mile per hour wind. That was the peak wind gust. Now actually I updated these rainfall totals just now, so as of 10 a.m. we've had some scattered showers, and so I added that, even though I think our rainfall forecast only went through Thursday, but I added the rain that we saw overnight into this morning, those scattered little pockets of rain. So for this entire week, Corpus Christi is now up to 6.46 inches, Alice 6.38. So a lot of rain has fallen in the coastal bend here over the last week, which is a nice change of pace. In fact, our lake levels did rise 1% over the last 2 days, but it was pretty steady between today and tomorrow. There's still a chance they rise a little bit as water makes its way down the rivers and tributaries into the lakes. But Choke Canyon currently sitting at 22.0%, 26.0 is the combined lake level. We did fall 1.1% over the last month. So what you notice is we did get about 1 to 4 inches of rainfall across the entire watershed, which is great. Always better than nothing. For Corpus Christi, we're now back above normal, which is a bit of a blessing, unless you're a farmer that had to try to beat the rain, getting the grain up and stuff. So I know that was not an easy week for y'all leading up to this, and still probably after the fact. 4.42 inches now above normal for the month of June. We're 0.85 inches above normal for the year, which is fantastic to get back above. We were below by like, well, whatever the June number is, that's about how far we were below normal for the year. So great to see that. Again, we do see widely scattered rain through the weekend, but nothing too crazy. Here's the latest look at Futurecast, where you see those little showers trying to develop into the afternoon, and then we see mostly clear skies heading into this evening. Sunrise will look nice, 86 degrees. And then as we head into tomorrow morning, a few showers early in the morning at sunrise, and that will continue again into the early afternoon before tapering off. We see some rain into Sunday as well. That's moisture coming up from the second possibility of development. But overall, it's a nice weekend, and it's still going to be hot and a little humid. Heat index values will be around 100 to 110. The only area we're watching is in the Bay of Campeche. We will be watching kind of the Caribbean into next week as well, but that's still really far out, so nothing to worry about at this time. It does not look as bad as the second go around. If you go to, let me see. I'm going to post a link. KIIITV.com, we have a tropical weather update. Okay, this is the one. I'm going to link this article because it talks about my reasoning and why it does look a lot weaker. And a lot of it is the time that it's going to have in the Gulf of Mexico, and additionally where the high sits up. So that high is going to prevent it from being strong at all here in the coastal bend. And that definitely is a blessing after what we saw. Thank you, Martin, for your comment. I appreciate that. But overall, this next storm looks like it will be lucky to get out of being a tropical depression. So essentially, Alberto, when it was a potential tropical cyclone, when you saw that a lot, you heard that a lot, PTC number 1, that meant that it was a tropical depression, but it had a chance of developing into a tropical storm before landfall. So they wanted to go ahead and put out the modeled data for that storm and the forecast cone and any warnings. Like, we were under a tropical storm warning. Designating it as a PTC just allows the National Hurricane Center to put out all of that information. So that's why that's important. Otherwise, it's just a name. It really doesn't matter. We are going to see just some widely scattered rain, Monica. That is all. There is a chance, actually tonight, it doesn't look too rainy until we get closer to tomorrow morning. The evening, we shouldn't see too much in the way of rain. So that's going to do it for this live update. Thank you all for watching. Once again, I'm meteorologist Carly Smith for 3 News and the entire team. Thanks for sticking with us through the tropical storm Alberto.